They say good intentions pave the road to hell. I was laying asphalt the Tuesday I left work early to surprise my wife. I'm Jordan Price, 17 years married. I still believed grand gestures could fix the small cracks. I grabbed Melissa's ridiculous caramel espresso with extra whip, drove home and let myself in quietly. Romance needs surprise, right? Upstairs, Melissa laughed into the phone. Not her polite book club laugh. The old one, unguarded, bright. I stood in the foyer with the coffee and listened like a coward. He actually thinks those kids are his, she said. Adrian and I call him the perfect fool. The cup slipped. Ceramic shattered. It was louder in my head than on the floor. I cleaned up every shard, every sticky ribbon of espresso, like I could erase the idiot who'd walked in 5 minutes earlier. When she came down, she kissed me hello. "You're home early," she said, warm as honey and just as sticky. "Day was fine," I said, and smiled back. That night I stared at our family photos. The same frames, new meanings. Our life looked like evidence. Sleep didn't stick. 3 nights later, I decided to stop, drowning and start swimming. I needed proof, not paranoia. A DNA kit, ordered through my friend Marcus so it wouldn't hit the family card. Hair from Mason's and Leia's brushes while Melissa sang in the shower. FedEx. Waiting. I also hired a PI I trusted, a rumpled bloodhound named Dalton Reeves. Who, where, when, how long, I told him. And if there's money moving, find. At 9 days later, the envelope. Probability of paternity, 0% for both kids. The same day, Dalton slid manila folders across a diner table. Photos. Melissa slipping into an apartment that belonged to Adrian Cole, my old best friend, the guy who slept in our guest room when his business cratered, the man I'd called brother. Her in my Northwestern hoodie kissing him in a parking lot. Financials. Money siphoned from our accounts to shell companies tied to Adrian's construction firm. Authorizations in Melissa's looping hand. They weren't just cheating, they were stealing. I kept breathing. I kept smiling. I kept playing husband. Then my son knocked on my office door. "If you and Mom split," Mason said, eyes on his shoes, "she says Leia and I would live with Uncle Adrian." That sentence was the moment something old in me died, and something colder woke up. I called Dalton back. Track every time he's near my kids. Next call was to Robert Kent, my accountant who gets misty over tax code updates. I asked for a forensic sweep of anything Melissa had touched. 18 months, Robert said. 3 days later. About $130,000 diverted. Many payments to Cole Construction Solutions and 3 Delaware shells. Your wife's signature throughout. So I built a fortress, quietly. Grant Miller, my lawyer, drew up a trust with my mother as trustee. The house, the vacation lot, business assets, moved. New personal bank. The joint account stayed alive with petty cash to keep the act going. And I started acting. Flowers, dinner reservations, spa days, notes in her purse. I became Mr. Romantic on steroids. Melissa glowed. She bragged to friends. "It's like he finally knows what he could lose," she told Stephanie from book club. Good. Let her feel safe. When Melissa's 39th approached, she planned a silver and crystal extravaganza at the Fairmont. She invited everyone who mattered to her image, boss, cousins, yoga crowd, and Adrian, of course. "He's practically family," she said. "He deserves everything that's coming," I told him at the door, shaking his hand. I'd already had my IT wizard Lucas ghost wire the ballroom AV so a pocket remote would run a presentation from the shadows. I rehearsed my speech until I could deliver it like a quarterly report. At 7:15, the room chimed glasses. Melissa beamed at me in her silver dress. "Thank you for coming," I began. 17 years of marriage taught me a lot about love and trust. Mostly that sometimes you don't know the people closest to you. Click. The slideshow of childhood photos vanished. Up came a crisp shot of Melissa and Adrian kissing in that parking lot, my hoodie on her shoulders. Another. Them entering. His building. Another. Hands laced over lunch. As you can see, I said evenly, my wife has been very busy with extracurriculars. ClickBank records filled the screen, transfers to shell companies, coal construction invoices, Melissa's signature. The room made the sound of a collective stomach dropping. And here, I said, is her financial stewardship. Generous, just not to our family. Click DNA results. 0% paternity twice, chairs scraped, gasps sharpened into talk. Melissa's mascara streaked. Adrian turned the color of printer paper. Last, audio. Melissa laughing on a call. The perfect fool. 17 years and no clue. I raised my glass. To performances. Tonight the curtain falls. The room emptied fast. Boss, cousins, the book club chorus. Mia, her maid of honor once upon a time, paused only to say, "Don't speak. I can't take another lie." When the civilians were gone, Melissa's grief turned to acid. "You humiliated me," she rasped. "I'll take you for everything." I actually laughed. Grant had prepared a little show and tell for this line. "Which everything? The house in a trust under my mother's name? The business already in an LLC? The accounts you already bled?" I handed her another envelope. Filed divorce. No alimony. No claim to assets. Custody petitions prepared. Fraud exhibits tabbed. "You can't do this," she whispered. "You did," I said. "Fraud, embezzlement, identity theft. Grant thinks 5 to 7 if you get a decent lawyer." Adrian didn't get that far. The FBI cuffed him the next morning. 6 figures in bogus contracts will do that. Local news loved the perp walk. Deputy served Melissa a restraining order and the custody filings. She ended up on her mother's couch 2 states away. By noon, Mia had blocked her. By evening, my driveway held a suitcase and a woman staring at a life she'd burned. The divorce moved at warp speed. Paper beats performance. Evidence beats tears. Family court gave me the house I'd already protected, the business I'd already moved, and the kids who, biology or no biology, are mine. Mason asked me a week later, "Are you happier now?" I told him the truth. "Yeah, buddy, I am." Leia flipped pancakes one Saturday and said, "Mom always seemed under-angry, like mad that we existed." 13 and already diagnosing ghosts. 3 months on, the business recovered. Clients respected that I handled catastrophe with receipts, not rage. 2 months after the decree, Melissa mailed a letter claiming she was pregnant with my child. I laughed until I had to sit down. I'd had a vasectomy 14 months earlier. Grant sent medical records and a cease and desist. That was the last I heard from her. 6 months after the party, I sat on the back deck at sunset. The house felt bigger without lies. I ran again. I cooked again. I laughed for real. The kids split time as courts asked, but gravity tugged them home. We rebuilt. Quietly. Steadily. The trust fund of my life now had 3 deposits: integrity, intention, and never-breaking faith. I was a fool once, trusting someone who didn't deserve it, believing love could survive on performances. But fools don't build legal fortresses, document theft, or flip a ballroom with a thumb-sized remote. Men do that. The fire took the house down. What rose from the ashes is simpler, stronger, and finally mine.